Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. I'm your host, Stephen Topham Hatt the third at your service. We're going to talk about we are going to reopening old lines, railway lines, if you will, because as you know, the HS2 has been scrapped because they after something they cannot have and they cannot get it anymore because that's scrapped. So work it out. So now we're trying to reopen the old railway lines, such as the L and ER lines between um, or most of the networks. Plus, even that, trying to rebuild those. I was looking at the chart of the HS2 and the old railway lines. The old railway lines have more value to keep than the HS2's new line layout because they're basically similar, yes, but they are all falling out of place. I was watching the video this morning, which would intrigue you even more, and and it will actually open your eyes a little bit and say, look, yeah, well, we're into this, but we need to get this sorted. The old railway lines are starting to re-emerge, as my private contact had already stated, may I add, who I cannot name, and a few people have said it in my face directly, and I said, yeah, I totally agree with you. Reopen the old railway lines because they are more interest of value of interest for people to understand that there were five men, which I cannot name, which are part of my steam team. Five men said we're going to merge our companies into one company. That company's gone into hiding, which I will not give out that secret. And that company is well known to everybody in the past, but in the present state today, in the modern day era, it's your heritage that's been torn up. Your heritage, your legacy, and what you're destined to have. Well, destiny is one thing, and it's already written black and blue for me. But for you lot, you need to understand I am gifted, not a childish prank. So to nail it down on a coffin on this one, the Great Northern Scottish Railway Company, NGSWR, and most of those railway companies merged with another railway company and formed themselves as the LMS, London Midland Scottish Railway Company. Now, they are then merged with another company called the London North Eastern Railway Company, which I can give out the name for now because I was into this video for you. The London North Eastern Railway Company made sure to keep things running until the British Rail took over. Now, which they did. Then they divided it into smaller companies again. So then what happened? The railways of the past have long forgotten through time, and that's 30 years of Dr. Beaton's Island Swan Song, which is what most of us are going through right now. So the whole point is the HS2, which everybody hates, it's been scrapped. Heap. Poof. Goodbye. Kaput. Because everybody wants to see the old railway lines reopened because they're more beneficial, if you will. Because there are old railway lines that connect to the other railway lines that are able to establish the connection. The HS2 is dangerous. They run at 200 miles per hour and when they tilt, they will tilt very hard onto the ground and kill everyone. That's how it will work if they keep having the HS2 format. So I know that because I'm trying to warn people, make them understand, make them see it clear as crystal every day, and say, look, we're going to open these world railway lines because they are more beneficial and they're more affordable to keep running. Don't get me wrong. When you think of £33 billion just to travel from London and all the way to Scotland, it's not worth it. And it's not even worth that penny. So compress that £33 million onto the compressor, if you will, and say, let's build a bit at a time on the old railway lines, because you will benefit of reopening old railway lines and connecting them all up. People have opened them up slowly but surely, as my private contact had stated. But if you all paid attention to it from the beginning to the end, you will understand that the heritage railway lines need to be preserved, the locomotives have to be preserved, the diesels as well, obviously, part of the diesels, yes. But the thing is, what people don't realise, we are monitoring this through time. And as I stated in my last two videos, I did this as a two-part video because of HS2 is a big topic. Don't get me wrong, but it is not worth it. Not for a long shot. Because by the time they demolish what they want, they probably spend nearly 200 billion quid. You know, you don't want that. So compress all of that and do smaller projects that can be affordable but reasonable price for the government to handle. Because the government is saying, we're not going to spend all of that money to build up an HS2 format and then go straight into Scotland. No way. No way. Because they want something in return and they cannot get it because it's lost in the past. So, logically, a lot of people are asking, okay, he's got the brains and he's got the noggin to know everything, that a lot of this is all realistic, not jokish. So people that are asking the old railway lines to be reopening old railway lines, is more affordable and more efficient and more understandable. There are people that are asking for donations, people that are asking to say, we want to extend this line, we want to build this line, we want to rebuild it as it used to be at one time. But you see, people lost interest in the railways during the 60s. And because of that, Dr. Beeching got an order from the government to axe all railway lines that weren't useful. But they were in the time period that they were in. Railways were more steam trains, more powerful than the electric HS2. So overall, regardless that I speak Southern, it doesn't give me, it gives me the full power to say, look, HS2 is off the menu, it's scrapped, it's heaped, it's gone, it's history. Because in the day, HS2 won't stand up in by the 33 billion quid they owe the government, ding ding ding, plus the tax on top of that. How much money do you think they're gonna have to pay back just to get everything back in order? Nearly 400 to 500 billion quid. That's with tax on top. Because in the day, that railway line doesn't deserve to be running. This is why we said reopening old railway lines is more beneficial to a point. Get to A and B, make it even preserved, get it all connected up, get some areas or some areas that are going to get connected up could be heritage railway lines, and they get preserved through time, and they last longer too because they're more efficient, they're more powerful, and they're more understanding. But there are people out there that won't listen because they've not seen the full extent or the full picture. So after the LNER about sold off most of the railway lines, plus the Dr. Beeching era as well, which sold it up. The M&GN got the most hits, or the NWR upside down, obviously. So a lot of it is all there in black and white. It's just looking into it. So when you look at it logically, and realistically look at it, it's all realistic. All the old railway lines are starting to reopen. They are discussing about it right now and said scrap the HS2 and move on to reopening the old railway lines from from Norfolk, Suffolk, Cambridgeshire, England, the west of England, and the rest of Scotland as well, and rename them as their old former railway companies they were originally started off to begin with. So it's the Great Northern Scottish Railway Company, the LMS, whatever which way they want to go with that one, and we merged the M&GN and the Great Eastern, get that connected all up. Some of the areas may not be able to get the railway location because they either built houses on it through time, which is why we're all discussing about reopening the old railway lines and understanding how why it's been done slowly but not fast because it takes time. Time is what we have, and it may not be at this point in time the the rest of my family are working overtime to try and prevent all of this. Island swan song, but at the same time, we're also trying to prevent the actual bottom line of it all is the HS2, which is what we're stopping. So, in the end of the day, I'm trying to help people to understand reopening old railway lines is better than building a new complex 33 billion version of the HS2 route, because not it's really like talking to you in front of you or discussing it with you. It's like saying, yeah, well, we understand what's ahead of us, and that's why it took us a little bit longer. But that's not the case. So the old railway lines are more cheaper, more affordable, and all they need is just railway locomotives, rolling stock, steam locomotives. The LSBC is going to be part of it, the southern region. Then you've got the northeastern region, then you've got the southeastern region on that top, then plus all the rest of the UK. So if you work it all out, all the old railway lines that have been ripped up in 1969 and 1950s, look at it and look at the project so really well of the HS2 and look how much damage they have done to the United Kingdom. That's why the HS2 has been scrapped because they can't afford it. The government hasn't got the funding for it. And the only way they can replenish it now is to reopen the old railway lines. Because in the day, people need to use or extend the railway lines from what they are sitting on. You got stations like Whitwell Station as a prime example, right? Which is it's a standing station of its own, but it wants to connect to Lenwade and Attlebridge, for example, and we connect to Milton Constable and all of that line. That could be done, and that's affordable, you see. And people are not looking at it and saying reopening old railway lines is more beneficial, and reopening them is better than destroying land and everything for the HS2, which is not applicable. It's a want. It's not a need. And with the old railway lines, that's needy because people like old railway heritage sites. They love to turn them into bigger companies, just a little small railway companies, even if it gets them to A and B, safe and sound, and go under 100 miles per hour, nearly 70 at max. You know, for a normal railway line, with not tipping the railway engines over. There's a lot to it. When people look at this and think logically, is this a good solution that we are restoring the old railway lines rather than just build an HS2? on top. I'll let you ponder on that one because it's not a question, it's not an answer, it's telling you what is the best way to go around it without damaging more land, more property, more wildlife. Forget all of that, rebuild all that, then find out where the old railway lines used to go, because that's where the main key is, and then connect as far as we can go, and then build the stations where they originally were, if they were, and then bang, off you go. And then you're saying HS2 is obsolete, or not completely obsolete anyway. But the thing is, they're thinking twice ahead, and they haven't got the stability for a 200-mile-per-hour journey because it's not normally safe. And I'd rather put the people's lives on the line to say, look, if you want to travel safe, go on the normal network. Don't go on the HS2 because it's been scrapped. I hope that helps and gives people a rundown why it's so important. Why 5 men out of all the railway companies merged as one as the LNER, London North Eastern Railway Company. When they sold off the parts, like I said, bang. Anyway, I hope it gives you an insight of why it is important to keep the railway lines to reopen. Because it is important indeed. And because HS2 will not exist anymore. It's a fanfare railway line that should never been done. Thank you very much. And please support it. Thank you very much. To keep the old railway lines open and locomotives running as well. Thank you very much and keep HS2 away. Thank you very much.